Welcome to Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu podcast, episode 009. This is Stephen Little,
Isaac Tauaefa,
Josh Straussberger,
JP Dinnell.
Welcome. Man, I'm so glad to be back.
my man.
I know y'all missed me, and I know y'all missed JP,
for sure.
but Kramer and the boys held it down.
Kramer did so good.
Yeah, it was great having him on. He's awesome. Great guest.
By the way, did you roll with Kramer this morning, Josh?
I may have rolled with Kramer this morning.
Just give us paint us a picture of how that went. Was there some trash talk beforehand?
Not by me. Not at all. Okay, so we arrive at the gym at approximately 6:25.
Don't make me smack you.
Within 3 minutes, JP, I'm going to get it right, says that I had threatened to collar drag every upper belt through the mat. And so then Kramer
That's a JP line.
proceeded to collar drag me through the depths of the earth. So, that's how my morning started. How are y'all?
Mine was great.
Mine was too.
Yeah, that was good. Jiu-Jitsu to start off the day is always a good thing.
It really is.
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, second to spend some time in the Word, which I did not spend time in the Word before Jiu-Jitsu, but I was just getting caught up on some different podcasts. And then after Jiu-Jitsu, when I was driving back home, it was cool just to drive with no podcast on, no music, and just have some alone time with the Lord, leaving Jiu-Jitsu, knowing that we're going to do this, but being more mindful. I really liked your guys' episode that you guys did, because for me, it was a reminder of just like being more mindful and intent with getting into the Word, and how that energy, it's a different source of energy when you're filling up with God's words and His promises and His commandments to us. So I liked it. I got a lot out of it. I thought you guys did a really good episode, and obviously Ryan Kramer he's a great dude. He's a good human.
Yeah, fully agree.
Hey, before we go too deep into this, let's thank our sponsor of episode 009, and that is Yoakum's Signature Hot Rods out of Sunbury, North Carolina. They specialize in metal shaping and body and paint work on antique vehicles. And man, he texted us some pictures. Dude, his work is grade
awesome.
A, beautiful. So Yoakum Signature Hot Rods out of Sunbury, North Carolina. You can find them at www.yoakums, that's YOCUMS, rodshop.com. So YOCUM as in mom, S, rodshop.com. Go check them out. Give them some love. We appreciate your support.
Yes.
Yep.
Always.
Instagram is Yoakum's Rod Shop. So it's YOCUMS Rod Shop. Yoakum's Rod Shop. Kyle Yoakum, awesome dude, connected with us and has been a big supporter of the podcast, listening to it, bought a t-shirt. So we appreciate you, brother. Thank you for supporting us.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you for pouring into the work that we get to do here. And, while the four of us knuckle draggers have some fun with each other, hopefully we can bring some attention to Jesus and, give some value to everyone. And so we appreciate you and the support and the support of your business. So we just got back. 3 of the 4 of us just got back from Pursuit.
Yeah.
Men's Pursuit 9. It was incredible. JP had a conflict, so he didn't get to join us this time. He's at most of them with us, and it was an incredible event. So for anyone that's new to listening, Pursuit is where the Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu was formed and founded. We all went on an event together last year, and we all had the same vision after we left, and told a friend, told a spouse, kind of a thing. And then when we all started comparing notes, wait, did I tell you about Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu? No. Well, I told my wife. Well, I told Jeremy. Well, I told my wife. It's kind of a crazy thing. The Lord gave us all the same idea of this ministry where we do live events here in DFW. We're starting to expand those out. We're coming to Colorado this summer, and they're going to be running regular events in Colorado. And we obviously have the podcast that spawned off of that, but it all came from a Pursuit event. And, Pursuit is a ministry that's obviously very close and near and dear to our hearts. We've known the founders for a long time. I mean, I personally have known Matt, one of the founders, for 18 years and been in daily communication with him. I mean, at least 5 to 7 days a week for 18 years. He was my high school football coach and teacher. We've worked together in some form or fashion ever since I graduated high school. We still work together on a business level, and so we communicate regularly on that. And then I'm very involved in Pursuit, and so we communicate regularly on that. And then Troy Foster as well. I've been in regular communication with him for 14 years. I mean, these are just incredible men. Jared Walkenfoos, same story. So, they're very near and dear to our heart, but the work that they're doing is incredible at Pursuit. Redeeming men back to what God called us to be. Redeeming women, the events are separate, so it's all men's events and then all women's events. They're actually headed off today for Women's Pursuit 4. Redeeming women back to what God called them to be, and then ultimately redeeming the family, back to what it's supposed to look like. And man, it's an amazing time. It's not a kumbaya session. No. It's not for the faint of heart.
No.
There's really not much like playtime. There's really not any playtime.
Yeah, I mean, but you're not going there for that.
No, right. You show up and it's work. It's kingdom work from start to finish. And if you plug in, which it's always 99 to 100%, people that get in, that really sell out to the weekend. Mm-hmm. If you plug in, you do not show up back to your home the same person.
No.
It's a guarantee.
We saw so much fruit of that this weekend. What'd you get out of it, Josh?
Well, one thing, maybe not just in general, I like. I went on Pursuit 5. That's the first I'd heard of it. I was supposed to go on 4, but ended up going on 5, so that was just last year. But it was supposed to be that way. There's no coincidence.
Yeah.
I was supposed to go through it with Isaac and Will. But anyway, one thing that's kind of cool is, like, you don't really have to know what you're going in for. And even if you do, this may sound confusing, but, like, even if you know, it doesn't matter where you're at spiritually, or even if you're not really spiritual at all. Like, we've had some people we've invited that just went, I think, just because, they respect us and we asked them. Mm-hmm. But I know that I went into mine with one thing in mind, like, I want to work on this. And that got worked on, but then as you peel back the layers, there's deep work that happens. And I think it's always impressive now that I've been on the serve team side of it 3 times, seeing how little the men on the serve team, like, we're just an instrument. Mm-hmm. We don't get in the way. This time there was 19 of us. So you think about an event like that where there's 19 men serving, all with their own ideas and their own, we're all different. Nobody stepped on anybody's toes. Because everybody stays out of the way and actually lets the Holy Spirit work the way it's supposed to happen. And I think that's why there's such success. There's not a man up there. This time Stephen was the facilitator, which kind of led us through it. But you don't ever feel like there's some man telling you what to do. It's your own personal journey and relationship and growth that happens.
And the key to that is, and what you're talking about is, it's very intentionally designed to create an environment for you to meet with God, for you to meet the Holy Spirit. And the thought is, hey, I could tell you what I think maybe the Lord's trying to say to you, or I could tell you what the Bible says. But why don't I just give you the tools for you to encounter Jesus, and why don't you hear it personally? Yep. Some of you hear from the Lord and you're like, okay, that makes sense. Some of you are like, man, I've actually don't know if I've ever really heard Jesus communicate with me. And I use the word communicate because people hear differently. It's not, some people maybe do hear audible. A lot of people, it's more in their thought life, and other people it's in journaling, and other people it's in nature. There's different ways to tap into that through remembrance or solitude, all this different stuff. But if you're out there listening, you're like, man, I don't know if I've ever heard the Lord speak to me. That is the number one reason you should go to Pursuit, to learn that. There's nothing more valuable in your life that you could have other than salvation. Salvation would obviously be the first.
Right.
The second most valuable thing you could have in your life is learning to hear God's voice and how he communicates to you. Yeah. And that's what Pursuit's all about. It's about us getting out of the way as the serve team, creating an atmosphere and an environment for you to hear from the Creator, for you to get a word from the Father, right? And no one can ever take that away from you. If us as serve team members if we're telling you stuff, okay, like there's probably some credibility there, and especially by the end of the weekend, we'll earn your trust.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's just another human speaking to you.
Yeah,
When the Lord speaks to you, no one can take that.
Well,
from
and
you.
the serve team's not like on a pedestal. I spent a little bit of time myself face down on the floor this weekend as
me
well
too.
because
Right.
You're human.
we're humans.
Yeah.
I'm a human man.
Well, as soon as you find a leader that doesn't need to work on themselves or stops working on themselves, it's time
Run.
to find a new leader.
Go,
Run.
go.
Isaac, what'd you get? Give us a high. Oh wait, before,
Right now.
I am so sorry y'all missed last week. I mean, honestly, you didn't miss myself or JP because the men held it down, and maybe it was even better without us. But the part that for sure was lacking.
This is why Danny said it was so good last week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is for you, Danny.
Yeah, because he doesn't even like me. But
you know what? Danny doesn't even train
I
yet,
love
so
you,
you don't get
Danny.
you don't get a vote.
You don't get a vote.
You don't get a vote. But hey,
Before you do though, I have had at least I don't know, more than 5 people DM me directly saying, "Why didn't y'all crack the can?"
That's right.
I've got to. I'm going to be honest.
have
I
to
got
say it,
to
Josh?
have Danny's back slightly because out of this table, how many of you guys are signed up and registered to go to Origin Immersion Camp? You know who is? Danny.
Really?
But I'm going.
Danny signed up and ready to go.
Let's go,
But I'm
Danny.
just saying, I'm just putting that.
But I'm
Let's
going.
go.
I'm just putting that out
Danny, I'm okay. I'm gonna retract my statement, and I'm actually gonna dedicate this crap to you.
Even better.
To you, my brother. And hey, listen, if you're watching on YouTube, you already know I've got that Afterburner Orange by Dave Burke, Jocko Go, cleanest energy drink in the game. If you're listening, check it.
Ooh, we.
Crisp orange going down. Slurping for Danny. Man.
They don't know who Danny is, but Danny is a great friend of all of ours, an instructor with Echelon Front, and a Pursuit brother too. Went through Pursuit.
Yeah.
And he is the original, the OG preschool friend of JP Dinnell.
Yeah.
Their moms taught like step aerobics together. And
Legit.
Danny was also the first guy that was printing the
Yep.
Never Settle T-shirt line.
And he's a big, big help in what me and JP are doing now.
Yeah, he's been
Yeah, with On the Path for sure.
Yeah.
We love Danny, and I love cracking the can for you, Danny.
pretty good when he's out here helping Josh and I get the place finalized to have him come be a guest on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be legit.
I would love
Definitely.
to.
He's got some incredible stories. I mean, as a
Yeah.
firefighter and then a SWAT team medic guy, and just
And
I'm
even,
gonna guess
even
him-
his pursuit experience was and
insane.
who he's Danny was always a guy that I loved, I looked up to, I respected, but to watch how just him realigning post pursuit and to watch like his spiritual side, the man of God, he already was, but what it went to, the new levels, is incredible.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess, and that was spot on spiritually. I was gonna take it to the comedic side. He's hilarious to me. His presentation, his ability to tell a story. I mean, I hate that he's so funny, but like
It's a unique sense of
he
humor.
keeps me laughing.
Me
Yes.
too.
Good dude. So
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've can cracked for y'all and slurped for Danny, Isaac, what'd you get from Pursuit 9?
Man, so I got to. This one was really special. All of them have been special. All of them have been amazing. So much awesome work has been done. This one was really special for me because my brother Josh, who already went through a Pursuit in November, got to come back and serve with me while our youngest brother Josiah was a participant.
Josiah?
All of us grew up believers, and our dad was a minister, and we knew the Bible, we knew Scripture. All of us kind of had similar stuff with, kind of growing up, and then because of that background, like taking it for granted, not really building a firm foundation, or building our house on the rock and slipping away in college and just letting the things of the world take over. So we all sort of had a version of that story. But Josiah is a believer. He loves the Lord, coaches with Jason Witten at Liberty Christian, goes to a Christian school. He's pretty squared away. But he told me that the experience that he found this weekend at Pursuit was for the first time in his life, true and full surrender to the Lord, and like actually giving up his life to the Lord and saying, like, we were talking the other day, we were just agreeing, like, it doesn't matter what it costs us. Like, I love I love the Lord, and I'm willing to tell people about it. I'm willing to serve Him and live a life that shows that. And I don't care what it costs me to do it. And it was just cool to finally get there with all of my brothers. We're all on the same page. And it's amazing. So that was what I got. That was part of what I got out of it. But personally,
before you go to personal, I don't mean to interject on everyone, but there's a lot to say. You called Josiah your little brother, which he is. He's probably the smallest
baby brother.
Tauaefa. But he's also, weight-wise, but he also was an NFL linebacker for the New York Giants recently.
Small's a relative term.
Yeah. By the way, homie's got some wheels.
Yeah.
Bro, his quads and hamstrings and glutes are like...
I know.
But is there anybody that plays on an NFL team that doesn't?
No.
Yes. I mean,
Really?
proportionately to his body, he has some freaking wheels, bro.
He has some huge legs.
Like he's a big man in general, and then it's like his legs and everything are oversized for his body.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great linebacker. You know, speed, and then also like filling the gap and hitting people 100 pounds heavier than him.
I've always thought linebacker is the most athletic position in football. I don't know, I probably just made a bunch of people mad, but to be able to come up and freaking knock down or, bump into a 350-pound man, or to be able to go out into coverage over a lightning fast wide receiver.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah. When Josiah, so the funny thing about him was he was never like lightning fast, and so he was always how he was such an amazing linebacker. He was an All-American in college and set school records, and then he declared early for the draft. For the draft, he ended up being a rookie free agent, and then signed with the Giants and earned a spot on the travel squad. But the cool thing about him was like he wasn't that fast growing up, and so but he was super smart. His football IQ was like through the roof. So he would like read a play, and as it's developing, be like, okay, well, I know it's going to take X amount of time for me to get over here because that's where the ball's going to go. And he would just like go right there and make the tackle. So like he wasn't just like reacting really fast and then, chopping down the dude. He was like, all right, I know what's going to happen in this play. So I think that's even
straight up living the OODA loop.
Yeah, dude.
Decision-making process. I mean, what you're talking about is the OODA loop.
Yep.
If you're not familiar with it, you can just look it up on YouTube, OODA loop, OODA loop, Dave Burke. He breaks it down. What you're talking about is him living in the OODA loop and him having that high IQ for football, which enabled him to come out on top. And, think about it. If we're in the Word daily, if we're reading the Bible daily, if we're listening to praise and worship and we're studying and reading with intent, it actually gives us that same ability to filter through life's things because we're able to actually recognize what's happening. And then we go to that knowledge that we have based off of what we've been pouring into the Bible.
Good. Well, the first O, orient, right?
Observe. So you observe what's happening around you, and then you orient yourself in regards to what you see happening.
Okay.
You decide what you're going to do, and then you act.
Yeah.
And the most important part of that is actually taking action, because knowledge isn't power. The application of knowledge is power. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you do nothing, guess what? You provide zero value. So, there's a lot of people out there that know a lot about the Bible, but they don't live those lives. They don't live the Word.
Be about it, baby.
Yes,
about it.
You guys are talking
full
about
circle,
be about it.
baby.
Yes. But so the OODA loop is a decision-making process, and you have to observe what's happening around you. You can orient yourself in regards to, okay, this is happening over here. Am I affected? Can I affect it? You decide what you're going to do, and then you act. But most of the time, before you can actually act, the environment changes. So you have to continuously be assessing and evolving. And if you think about it, we live in just one big OODA loop with all these little OODA loops inside of it.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. But as you're saying that about your brother, which I've loved getting to know your brothers over this last year and just how intelligent all of you guys are, I can see that. It makes me smile as you're talking about your brother, like he's able to do that. And I'm like, man, that's so cool because he's using his knowledge to his advantage. And I just, as Christians, the purpose of this podcast is Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu is just like, man, if we were more intentional with our time with the Lord and in the Bible, how much more knowledge of His Word and His promises and His commandments would we have that we could actually take action with. But a lot of us fail to be able to take action because we don't know what to do.
Dude, what a nugget.
Shut it down.
What a nugget we just got. Yeah, I know. I mean,
Thank you
clip that
for
whole
listening to
JP, thank you, bro. That's awesome. And I've heard the OODA loop before,
Yes,
but
yeah.
to see you apply it to I mean, even football, but then reading the word, like that was an awesome tie-in.
How appropriate that the can I cracked was Afterburner Orange
Yeah.
flavor, Dave Burke. By the way, we did not say this. If you want to get in the Jocko Fuel game, if you want to get your Origin rash guards, your Origin compression, your Origin gis, 100% American made with the American grown materials, you need to use the code JJJ10 for 10% off. By the way, this helps us massively, and you guys have been incredible at using that code JJJ10.
So appreciate you guys.
Because we get a little commission whenever you use that. You get a discount and we get a little commission, and those commissions have been coming in daily, and it helps us so much of what we can do. We use that to buy Bibles for our events that we give people that have never owned a Bibles. We use that for our costs here at running the podcast. There's so much we do, and we try our best to pour that back into content and Bibles and just whatever we can do to grow this thing the way the Lord's shown us. And so we appreciate y'all using that code. Again, it works at JockoFuel.com, and you got to know he's got the cleanest protein in the game, sweetened with monk fruit, so it's all natural. There's no preservative stuff in it. It actually has probiotics in it, so it helps you digest the protein and the other food that you're eating. He's got the Jocko Greens, which allows you to be a knuckle-dragging meat eater like the rest of us and get your veggies in a nice tasty shake now in the form of peach or pineapple. And then on top of that, the Goes, which we talk about often because we love them. They have 95 megs of naturally sourced caffeine. They are pasteurized, so it's the first energy drink ever to have no preservatives and to be pasteurized. On top of that, it's got nootropics. It's very focused on them. That's why I'm so locked in right now on this little ad we're giving. It gives you focus. There's no crash. It's got all kinds of vitamins. Here's the other thing: is it's keto friendly because it's sugar free, and it's also sweetened with monk fruit, the all-natural sweetener. And so you got to get on that. It's one that you can drink. You definitely want to drink this like before a heavy workload, before a test if you're in school, before a great training session, because you will not get cracked out like a pre-workout, right, before getting on the mats. So get your go on. Also, the Jocko Joint Warfare. I mean, the products there are absolutely incredible, and they will truly increase your quality of life with your nutrition, and it's going to bridge all those gaps you have in your nutrition and in your diet. And so JJJ10, back to you, Isaac.
So I think the thing that I got out of it the most was this is my 4th time at Pursuit, 1 time to participate, 3 times to serve, and I've heard sat through a lot of the sessions that we teach and got a hold of and use a lot of the tools that we learned. But there was a tool that we discussed while we were there that I've heard a bunch of times called Promise Principle, but it's about how to read the word and how to get stuff out of it. And so I took it home, and I realized I'd failed my wife for years. In June, we'll be married 7 years, and incredible. I had never. It's awesome. It's flying by, but it sounds weird. I had never read the Bible with my wife. We've read the Bible separately. We've talked about Scripture. We sat in. We watched sermons.
You say it sounds weird. I bet you a lot of the listeners can relate to that.
Yeah, but I mean, it just sounds like such an obvious thing. Oh, you guys should be reading the Word together. But there was so much other stuff going on. She's kind of doing her study. I'm doing my study. We're doing different stuff. But we never sat down and actually read the exact same scriptures and talked specifically about those things. So the Promise Principle gave me the opportunity, which we actually did on the scripture I think you're going to share today.
Right.
Going through that together and going line by line. And then, that gave opportunities for her to ask me. And what's cool is either I know because I've learned, because I've sat with men that know and have taught me, and I can help teach my wife the word. And if I don't know, then I'm like, great, this is a good thing specifically for me to take to people like Matt and Troy, my Pastor Dave Smith at Grace Point Church. I have now tools to help my wife learn, and also for me to go back to the drawing board and learn. So I can teach. Yeah. But that's personally something I got out of it, was the desire to lead my wife specifically that way.
That's incredible. Yeah. Speaking of anniversaries, Josh, today is a good day for you and your wife.
Today, yep. 16 years today. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
You old
That's
man.
hard work. That's hard work, dude. For Jen, really. I mean,
Yeah, really for Jen.
she's a saint.
We all know she makes your life easy.
I could write down all the things I've done and y'all do the opposite and you'll have a better time.
Well, that's awesome, dude.
Learning those lessons in life. Right?
Yeah, a lot of tuition payments and mostly my fault. But
Proud of you.
patient.
Yeah.
Make sure to get her something nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saturday. We're celebrating Saturday.
Good
She
for
earns it. Okay, so one little thought I want to wrap up on pursuit that we just had, and then we'll punch into some scripture and we'll go through it and see where else our crazy brains take us in this podcast, and hope that Jesus uses it for his glory. But one of our brothers, Josh
Yes.
Kingery. Now, Josh is a podcast supporter. He's found us from the podcast, and he listened, and he heard us talking about pursuit, and he signed up and came.
Yes, so awesome.
So he's from Colorado, and he's a pastor out in Colorado. He's about I never got his exact age. I would guess he's somewhere between our ages here at this table, 30s and mid 30s to
Yeah.
kind
Mid
of
to late 30s?
Yeah, mid to late 30s would be my guess.
Most of us are mid to late 30s.
Yeah, we have a 40-year at the table, but with that, Josh came out. Solid dude. By the way, he walks the path, man. He trains jiu-jitsu. The dude's fit as a whistle. And just a good, humble dude. He's a campus pastor for a large campus of a large church. So he leads a big body. And man, so by the way, I just full disclosure, him and I were messaging this morning, and I got specific consent to share this. Yeah, JP could breathe deep now. So I asked him, I said, hey, man, can I share this specific part of what you shared? And he just responded, y'all are going to love this. He gave me a response from Isaiah 6, and he said, here am I, send me. And he said, let's go, share away. So, what I love about Josh is he's walking the path, right? And I think like a lot of people in life or even in ministry for sure, just like a little burnout, he just needed that time away with the Lord. And so he was really valuing pursuit, as we all do, and he was getting a lot out of it. But what I love, man, is he hit us up afterwards and he said, this was on Tuesday. He said, we have prayer night tonight at my campus. They have not been led very well by me ever. But tonight is going to be different. I'm going to push them to find freedom on the floor. And that basically means if you've got a worry or a struggle, just submit, get on the floor, take it to the Lord. Like there's freedom there. And there's a process in leading that. So he said, I'm going to push them to freedom on the floor. I can't wait. It's going to be a much better, I'm going to be a much better church leader now. I can't wait. Here's the part that got me. He said, I apologize to my entire staff today for stifling their ministry experience because I wasn't walking in freedom nor in tune with the Spirit.
Wow.
Talk about ownership.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm like, Josh, Josh Kingery, every pastor in America needs to hear that. And some of them are walking it, but a lot of them aren't. Every pastor needs to hear your humility and your heart posture. Every leader needs to hear that. And man, we got pictures and we got videos and stuff that he sent us. And he's like, guys, later that night, he's like, guys, I pushed them in to find freedom on the floor. Not something I've ever called our people to do during a prayer night. We had well over 100 people on their face going to work, talking to the Father.
Wow.
Then today, when I asked him, hey, can I share this? Look at this. He sent me these photos of their youth group because he was leading the youth pastor, and all the youth up at the altar praying, talking about asking the Holy Spirit to give them the different fruits of the Spirit.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm just looking at this, and if anyone follows the Instagram page closely, we posted actually a photo with Josh. I think it was just a story, maybe, so it's gone, but saying that, hey, we had a follower became a brother, and so cool. Can't wait Josh is going to be involved in the Colorado expansion of Jesus in Jiu-Jitsu, which is legit.
Yeah.
Super legit.
But man, I'm just looking at that and I'm like, okay, when especially there's a lot of there's a lot of things, it's all tied to the spirit of religion, but there's a lot of things telling us that we can't be vulnerable in the body of Christ, especially if you're in a leadership position, right? You can't be vulnerable, you can't be wrong, you kind of got to have it all figured out, you got to lead from a position of strength, all this stuff, a lot of these lies that are spoken over us. And I'm looking at Josh going, man, this dude is like apologizing to his staff for lack of leadership. And I actually, knowing Josh, I would bet he actually was doing a pretty good job leading his church before, but he just found a new freedom through pursuit, and he found a new depth with the Lord, and he's humbly coming before, humbly coming before his congregation saying, I'm sorry because there is a better version of me out there, and now you've got that guy, and let's go deep.
Just leveled up.
Yeah, he did an honest self-assessment.
Yeah.
That's the only way that you're going to grow is when you can actually look at yourself. And to me, I've tried to explain pursuit to people. It's like, hey, it's your ability to do an honest self-assessment of yourself as a Christian. That's it, right?
Yep.
So as a father, as a mother, as a husband, as a wife, as just a human, like it gives you the ability to do an honest self-assessment and find what you're lacking and go to work and fix it. Like, that's all it is. I mean, to me, that's all pursuit is. It's you doing an honest self-assessment of where you are as a Christian, seeing your flaws, and working on it. And the cool thing about pursuit is you can be as vulnerable as you want or not. You're still going to get work done. Right. Because I know of people that were going to P5 that were like, I'm not going to open up. I don't want to have to open up. And I'm like, you don't have to. You literally don't have to. It's just you going there. As long as you open up to the Lord, like you don't have to open up to anybody else there. You don't, and that's the thing. I know that some people have hesitations about going to pursuit, about being vulnerable or having to share stuff in front of other people. You don't have to do that. As long as you share it with the Lord and you work through it, you're good. Now, the cool thing is when you do find comfort at whatever level that is to share some things with other people, it's not about you. It's about providing them some hope of saying, hey, you know what? I just shared that. Hey, I got something I need to talk about.
Right.
Because I've been holding on to this since junior high. Yeah. And then it just opens it up because you have this, you have a group of like-minded people. And I think that's what's so powerful about pursuit is once you expose yourself and you're vulnerable to the Lord, and then you're opening up that relationship, then you can do it with those around you if you choose. And if you do that, it just allows you to go deeper.
Yeah. And them.
Yes. And more so them. I think that's what's important is when people realize that, if I talk about this, it's going to help Isaac. Mm-hmm. I'm more likely to do that. Yeah. I am willing to open up and share things if I know it can help somebody else instead of myself.
Right.
Because when it's about me, then I don't really care, and or my ego gets in the way. But if I know it's going to help somebody else, then that ego comes into play in a good way.
Different kind.
Now it's a different form
Right.
or angle of that ego. So
you're right.
That's what I loved about Pursuit and just watching. Just watching the transformation that people get, it's incredible. So I'm stoked. My dad confirmed he's going to go to the one in August.
Sweet.
He's having a major surgery in June. Again, he lost his arm. His arm is amputated, and he's got some infections in there again. And so he has a surgery in June now. And then, he's like, I don't see any reason why I can't be good and healed up to be able to go in August.
I know a guy he can ride with that doesn't live far.
Yeah, I know. So we're just going to tell him that's happening.
I'm glad you said that. My dad, he just called me yesterday, and he was like, "Hey, so I was listening to the podcast," and I was like, "You listen to the podcast?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's awesome." I had no clue. So, Dad, I know you're listening. I want to invite you to Pursuit too.
Yes,
I love you, and it'd be awesome to have you there.
It would be great to have our dads again.
That'd be cool.
Epic.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Can we say something about Ciolo Tauaefa? We were talking about athleticism and
yeah,
it's a big man. What was his bench in the day back in the day?
Over 610 pounds, probably. Over 6,000.
His squat?
Dad, you're gonna have to help me out with that. 600?
660.
660. Lucas, just let me know. Lucas used to work with him.
Lucas, is that on the bench press?
Yeah, that's on a bench press raw.
Oh,
on a bench press.
Yeah, on a bench press raw and just like a sleeveless shirt and flip flops.
That island life, bro.
So I don't know how
A
much
sleeveless
squat,
shirt
but
and flip flops,
ridiculous.
660-pound raw bench. For anyone that doesn't know what raw is, that means no wraps, no shirts, no
Bench
bench
shirt,
shirts,
no.
no belts. Just like
Yep, and some comparable squat and deadlift too. But I remember going to watch him when I was like 10 or 11 years old, compete in these powerlifting tournaments.
Sheesh.
It's awesome. Yeah, he's a freak, and he was faster than me. I mean, I don't think I've ever beat him in a race, and that's yeah. Yeah, I've never been in a race. In fact, I made districts in the
I know how
100-meter
fast you
dash.
are.
Yeah, I made the districts in the 100-meter dash, and so I was practicing for districts, and so my dad one time took me out to the track, and I'm running my sprints. I had this workout, and he tells me like, I'm like, Dad, you want to race? And he's like,
hold on.
yeah,
How much is he weighing at this time?
325 probably. And so I'm like,
not right.
and I'm much smaller, and I've been running track specifically. I mean, I was a thrower, but I run track because I'm,
Was that a little bit of an ego challenge?
for me? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
100. Yeah, I'd say-
I just wanted to make sure.
I got this.
Good,
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat my dad. Maybe this is the time
This
I
is
beat my dad.
the time.
Yeah, so I get down, and we get down next to each other, and then my dad gets up and goes back behind me,
Ooh.
probably like 10 yards. I'm like, Dad, come on, like
Bold move.
let's go even, like I don't want to beat you. In my mind, I'm like, I don't want to beat you, and then you'll say, well, it's because I started behind you. He went 10 yards behind me, and he finished about 10 yards in front of me when we finished a 100-meter dash, and I was chopping as fast as I could. So there's a story out there circulating from when my dad was serving with Team Impact, the power team, and all this ministers. They had this blue chip running back dude that was a stud running back, and anyway, my dad was messing with him the whole time, like, all right, we're gonna go race in the parking lot, and so they went out there. My dad was in some combat boots, and just got down his stance, beat the dude. I'm like, just ridiculous. These are stories. I hadn't seen him, but he beat me firsthand. So Dad, come to Pursuit.
Yeah, please.
He still looks like he could bench 600 pounds, by the
bet.
way.
Something like that, I bet.
Oh, he's repping for something.
He's got that old man
I remember
strength
watching
now, and
Yeah.
legit
I don't know what my dad's. Because I text him your dad's when I first
Yeah.
met your dad. Because my dad was, a big lifter
Yeah.
back in the day. Still is.
Yep.
And
Hoss.
I just remember. Because I sent him your dad's numbers. He's like, "That's impressive." And my dad's was in like the fives, which is still to me, I'm like, it's insane.
Yeah, top percentage of the world.
Yeah, and my dad has long arms, so
Yeah.
it's even more impressive
Yep.
when you really think about somebody with long arms
Yeah.
throwing that. I just remember watching him when I was younger rep 495,
Oh, yeah.
and you're just like,
That's like probably my greatest bench ever, like that. And he's repping it.
so crazy,
stud.
crazy. Yeah,
Bro,
they're all studs.
I watched you work out with 4 plates, Isaac.
Yeah, I'm
Reps,
trying.
reps on reps on reps.
Yeah, but as you get older, your elbows start hurting, chest starts hurting.
I don't want to hear it.
Hey, listen, one more thing about Ciolo, Isaac's dad. I love saying that name, by the way, Ciolo.
Yeah.
If you meet him, so if you've ever been around one of the Tauaefa boys, first thing you'll see is like joy, like you're like, oh my, I just want to hang out with these people,
Yeah.
like let's barbecue, because you're like,
Yeah, that's
right. You're just like, of course it goes back to food for me, but you're just like, dude,
I'm with
these are
you.
like the
You're right.
nicest, most joyful people. They're smiley, they're welcoming. Like, man, I just want to be around this family. And then you see real quickly where they get it from.
Yeah.
It's from their dad. It's
Yeah,
a
thanks,
super
man.
cool guy.
That's
Yeah.
very honoring. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. I haven't gotten tons of time with him, but the few times I've been around him, I'm like,
been joy.
hey, like, should I just get in the truck with you?
Yeah,
You get in the truck
yeah.
with me? Like, you want to go?
Get
Where are we going next?
My sticky
Yeah,
rice.
some oh my.
That's right.
So
That's
again, for those of you following the Instagram page, you saw my house. We had to restock our Homai 50-pound bag of sticky rice because that old bag is gone.
yeah.
Brody's eating it up.
Dude, Brody, my kids devour that rice. They ask for it every single night.
So awesome.
Brody the Enforcer.
That's right, man. You throw some pink salt on it. All right, so let's jump into this. I'm going to talk through a few different scriptures. I'm going to bounce around. I'll go in order, though, in 2 Timothy. Okay, so this one really hit me. We were going through this at Pursuit in our leader session, and this really stood out to me. it just hit me personally where I've been at and where I'm currently at. But it's 2 Timothy 2, and start in verse 4. Soldiers don't, by the way, and in Timothy, I think everyone knows this, but or maybe you don't, but it's Paul talking to Timothy, right? So he wrote this letter to Timothy, and he's kind of giving him some instructions. And he says, soldiers don't get tied up in the affairs of civilian life, for they cannot please the officer who enlisted them. And then it goes on, and the athletes cannot win the prize unless they follow the rules, and the hardworking farmer should be the first to enjoy the fruit of their labor. Think about what I'm saying. The Lord will help you understand all these things. But so when you back up to verse 4, soldiers don't get tied up in the affairs of civilian life, for they cannot please the officer who enlisted them. Why this stood out to me, and if y'all have been listening to all these episodes, you've probably heard little snippets of this, but I spent the first, I'm 33 years old. It's my Jesus year right now. But
Me too.
you're on your Jesus year, right,
Jesus,
Ike?
Yeah. What happened at 33? Yeah. Dying to self. I think that's a good one.
Okay.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Good turnaround.
For me, my first 30 years of my life, 31 years of my life maybe, I was solely focused on civilian life. Now I had Jesus in my life, and I did the church thing, and I did all that, and I was living a fairly fruitful life. On the outside, I was, but truly what I woke up thinking about and where I spent the majority of my time, where my heart was in civilian life. And I think that's, again, we've talked about this. I think most Americans probably can relate to that. We have so many distractions in America, right? So many distractions, and we have so many blessings in America. And sometimes those blessings and those comforts that we have allow us to get complacent. And I've been complacent. And the complacent thing to do, the easy thing to do, is to focus on civilian life. Just worldly stuff. I'm not even talking about that's a churchy word.
Yeah.
Worldly can mean sinful. Not even sinful, just the things that aren't of the kingdom of heaven, right? And so I've had this realigning in my life the last 2-3 years, probably 2 years. It started for me in 2020. So it actually, literally, I know we talk about it all the time, but my turning point was my pursuit, which was P1, the first pursuit, and that was in 2020.
Yep.
So it has been 3 years, but that was where the Lord started changing my heart, and where really I am focused on kingdom stuff before I'm focused on the affairs of the civilian life.
Yep.
And so for me, and so part of why, it hit me hard, and the way I said it is, man, I relate to this verse so well, and I'm happy to be on the other side of the verse, right? I kind of have alignment with, the good side of it.
Yeah.
But I also know that I can't get complacent.
Yeah.
Right? Because we can go right back on the other side of that real quick. So soldiers don't get tied up in the affairs of civilian life, for they cannot please the officer who enlisted them. So what does this mean too? Part of what this means is, instead of focusing on what Fox News and CNN News is talking about, maybe focus on what the Bible's saying, what the Lord's talking about. Sometimes we get so hung up, almost find our identity in some of the things that are, of the times. If you're a business owner or whatever, we get so focused on the economy. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. If we've talked, I think I said this in the previous one, but if you're a believer, you're living in the kingdom economy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, does the economy affect us? Yeah. Yes, absolutely. The U.S. economy, the world economy, of course it can affect us. But is God bigger than that? 100%.
Yeah.
Right? So if that's your first piece of your focus is, being focused on the kingdom stuff, right, by the officer, being a good soldier to the officer that enlisted you, right? Now, all of a sudden, that anxiety goes away because the Lord is leading you, and, you're partaking in the kingdom economy, and God can provide or give you whatever it is that you need, right, to overcome the hardship of the economy, right, in this one example I'm using, and then also, but just the lack of, he could take away the anxiety, the stress, right, even the depression that comes with this for some people, and now you can actually go operate in a stressful environment, but with the peace and joy of God, and guess what? You're going to look different. People are going to ask you, why are you not freaking out like everyone else?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you why.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that one hit me in a big way, and then I want to jump down to, I'm going to start in verse 20. The emphasis here, I just want to give you all a little extra context, but the emphasis is in verse 22. And I'm actually going to read past 22 just a little bit. But to me, this is kind of the continuation from verse 4, so it's like, what does it look like to be a good soldier, to not get tied up in the civilian affairs? Well, so in verse 20, in a wealthy home, some utensils are made of gold and silver. Some are made of wood and clay. The expensive utensils are used for special occasions, the cheap ones for everyday use. If you keep yourself pure, you will be a special utensil for honorable use. By the way, let me just say this. That doesn't mean you had to have lived a perfect life previously, because God gives us restoration. Yeah. So you find that restoration from the Lord, and then moving forward, you keep yourselves pure. So if you keep yourself pure, you will be a special utensil used for honorable use. Your life will be clean, and you will be ready for the master to use for every good work. And here's the verse that I really love, and it's the pursuit verse. Run from anything that stimulates youthful lust. Instead, pursue righteous living, faithfulness, love, and peace. Enjoy the companionship of those who call on the Lord with pure hearts. Verse 23, again I say, do not get involved in foolish, ignorant arguments that only start fights. A servant of the Lord must not quarrel, but must be kind to everyone, be able to teach, and patient with difficult people. 2 Timothy is so rich. I love the letters. Awesome. Even 1 Timothy. I love what Paul's saying to Timothy. Such a powerful couple books. But to me, this one just really speaks. Run from anything that stimulates youthful lust. Instead, pursue righteous living, faithfulness, love, and peace. Enjoy the companionship of those who call on the Lord with pure hearts. And I think to the second part, I think that's part of what Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu is providing to people by our live events, by our podcast, right? It's starting to bring people together that we do enjoy the companionship of those who call on the Lord with pure hearts. Yep. Right, but there's so much good stuff in here. There's so many little things you can unpack, especially since I read a little bit before and after. But I think these instructions are just good, and it's a good time. If you're listening to this, to reflect. It's been a good time for me to reflect, and it's like, man, am I walking this thing out, or do I need that reset moment? Right? Do I need to get on the floor and ask the Lord for forgiveness, and ask Him to restore me, and so I can set back out. I can set my mind on the affairs of the kingdom of God, so that I can get myself pure again, so that I can be used. Where does he say it right here? So I can be used for every good work. The master can use me for every good work, right? And so, I think that's just really hit me. It's a great time, if you're listening to this, just like it is for me and the rest of us up here, to evaluate, how I'm doing in this, right? Have I gotten complacent? Am I lazy? Am I just flat out running from it? And what do I need to do to get that alignment back with our Heavenly Father?
Yeah, that's there's so much to unpack in all of these verses, but I think the thing I love, I'm just going to piggyback on what you said about the community, the brotherhood, and the fellowship. Yeah. That this verse is talking about. In this version that I'm reading says, end of 22, along with those who call on the Lord from a pure heart. So, like you said, we're trying to create that community in Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu where people are running together towards these things, pursuing righteousness, faith, love, and peace. There's a old adage that people say, I don't know who came up with it, but it's the idea is, if you want to know who the right people are to be around, or the right woman to date and marry, or friends that you should have in your life, pursue God, run towards Him, and then you look side to side and see who's running with you, and then those are the people that are worth being with. So I think that's what we're aiming to do. We're all pursuing God, and what's awesome is there's not a lot of people I know that are surrounded by friends all the time who are doing the same thing. They're pursuing the Lord. They're leading their wives. They're loving and leading their families, their children. They're trying to be a good example to others around them, setting a godly example. But I'm blessed to have those brothers with me, and we want everyone else to have those, right. Those friends in that community, all walking towards the Lord together, pursuing Him. And then when you look left to right, you know who you can hang out with. So
I like that. Yeah, that was pretty solid.
Josh, unpack it for us, bro. I know you got something good. We always get those comments about that Josh wisdom.
That everything just left there. That was those people need to get right. Yeah, I think what stuck out to me there, like y'all said, there's a lot to unpack in all those. What sticks out to me is because personally, I know myself, and you said it well, like in your Jesus year, since your pursuit, you're focusing on the things you need to focus on. And I think, I'm not saying you do, because obviously you brought it up, but a lot of people feel like they can arrive, they can attain. And man, I know firsthand, it doesn't matter where you're at, that complacency can come in.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take long to start a fracture,
100%.
whatever that situation is. So I think when you brought that up, that's kind of what was like, hey, that's you, that's where you're at. And
that's a big part of why you need the people that you're running with,
Right.
the companionship,
Yeah.
because they're the ones that go, hey, bro, get yourself right.
yeah,
Yeah, the word is pursue, which is
Yeah.
like an ongoing thing. Instead of it saying obtain righteousness,
Right.
like possess it, you got it.
Yeah.
No, it's pursue.
I'm good now, man.
Still going
No.
towards it. Yeah.
and you can fall off of that so quick.
Yeah.
And especially if you're turning your attention to, as that one said, the civilian world, like, man, it doesn't take long, because that complacency will try to creep in, even if you're not completely turning to that. Like,
Yeah.
the enemy's always trying to get in there,
Yeah.
and it's real easy. The complacency could be like, well, like JP said this morning, like, didn't have time in the Word this morning, but he made time for some quiet time in between some stuff after jiu-jitsu. Like, how easy is it are you doing anything wrong if, we both got up, I got up at 5:30 this morning, I trained jiu-jitsu, I showered, I went to work. I haven't done anything wrong necessarily by not having time in the Word or anything yet. But I think if you're being proactive, you're going to make it happen. It just sticks out like it. In that time when you're not, it's real easy for things to start bombarding you. And
And I think I've noticed a difference in myself, because I'm in that same boat. I don't always get it first thing in the morning. Most of the time I do, but not always. And there's some days I completely fail. But when we get it first thing in the morning, how much easier is the rest of our day?
spot on.
It's like you're running through your day with much more clarity and alignment. And when the attacks do come, it's like,
Yeah.
you're bouncing off of me.
Got a little extra. Got a little extra in me.
It's like Josh trying to collar drag me. Just not going to happen. Not today.
I can't wait for
I can't wait for you to be back.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was the biggest part to me, because I know how easy, and we talked about marriage, like 16 years of marriage. It's always that.
Cool.
I mean, it'll creep in when you don't expect it. Like, marriage is hard, so like you're focused on not only your spiritual life and your walk, but you have a partner with you. Like, there's so many angles for that, your affections to get turned away or some type of complacency to come in. So
We know this cool like Navy SEAL guy that says that all the time, that complacency kills.
I've heard
Yeah,
it. I've
he's
heard it once or twice.
Allegedly.
There's gonna be a shirt.
Yeah, but it does. I mean, it's
really
a real
does,
simple
though.
phrase, but it tells truly it's a spiritual thing. I mean,
everything that we're doing is spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is crazy. Any of you guys, do any of you guys have like really nice silverware, or did your parents or family members have like really nice silverware?
Yes.
I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
My parents.
The special occasion silverware.
Yeah.
China and silverware.
Yeah. And it sits,
Yeah.
and it needs to be like when you go to get it out to use it. What do you have to do?
You gotta dust it off. You gotta clean it up.
You got to clean it and polish it up.
Yeah.
But because when you go to open up that nice silverware, it looks bad. If it's been sitting for a while, it looks bad. Do we just throw it away because it looks bad? What do? We polish it up. We clean it up because we know the value of that.
Right.
And that's what we have to do with ourselves, is we have to understand our value to God. We have the proper tools to clean ourselves up, to keep ourselves polished. But the thing is, like, we're not silverware. We're not a fine piece of silverware that's just going to be used occasionally. God wants to use us daily.
Right.
And if we're in His
for
Word
every
daily,
good work, for the master to use you for every good work.
Yep.
Every.
and we have to remember that. It's like, so this is a daily thing that we have to be mindful
good.
of.
That's real good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to drop something.
Yeah, right.
See,
Another
Powerful.
nugget.
Did not drop anything.
Two
I was
nuggets.
just sitting here thinking about food. No, I'm just kidding. No, I just, as you're saying, it just, that's why
awesome.
I wrote down silverware being polished, because, we're so much more valuable
Dude.
than those things.
Pursuit. So talked about pursuit, but essentially that's what it was for me, man. Like, it was I know that I'm redeemed. I know that I have value in God's eyes. I know that I'm His son, but going there and thinking like, I don't really need any work. I'm fine. You know, I think and not saying I'm perfect, but I'm on the path, you know. But then I went and God revealed to me like how much dust was on me, how much more he could polish me up for.
We've had
for
a
good.
handful of pastors come through.
Yeah,
Right.
I was a
That
pastor
are
at the
like,
time. Yeah,
hey,
Josh Kingery, who we were talking
Yeah,
about.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Michael Bowen and yourself,
Yeah.
like guys that are in the church working, and they're just like, oh, there's another
Okay.
layer to this.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
a deeper clean that we all need.
To
Dude,
that,
that's awesome.
It
one of
kinda-
the things I want to point out about Pursuit, in events where we've had pastors, we've had people that have shown up outspoken, agnostic, like, hey, I don't believe in God.
Yep.
Like I'm open to the idea, and that's why I'm here, but I actually don't believe in
Right.
God.
I'm not anti, but I just
Correct. I don't really believe in it, but I'm here because the people that invited me I respect, and so I'm curious what they really believe, right?
Yeah.
Sitting alongside men that have pastored for, 20, 30 years, 40 years, ministered that long, different kinds of, worship leaders, everyone. And what's amazing is they all leave. They have a different experience, but equally impactful, and they leave like brothers.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
the same time, we have had I'll just leave it real vague, like special operations,
Yeah.
SF type guys come and police officer, sheriff types and higher type things that come and that are sitting next to like convicted gangbangers with teardrop
gangsters.
tattoos on their
Yep.
face. Cool, right? Okay.
cool.
And guess what? They're hugging, trading numbers,
Yeah.
and they're like brothers at the end of Pursuit.
That's what also we get at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
That's right.
Is you'll have like literally actual felons rolling jiu-jitsu with law enforcement.
That's right.
And it's like when you go into the gym, it's like, I'm here to train.
yeah.
And when you go to Pursuit, you're there to train.
Yeah.
Speak good.
Preach.
It's like, what are you doing?
You're dropping your microphone, but don't drop that one.
We're holding hands.
We hope you guys have gotten something out of this. By the way, we always talk about Pursuit because it's just so interwoven in our lives as a group and as our ministry. If you want to check that out and get more information on it, it's pursuitfortruth.com. Pursuitfortruth.com will get you intel on those events, when the next ones are. There's several coming up this fall. A group of us sitting at this table will probably be at all of them, or at least most of them. We're heavily involved. We appreciate everything they do, and we want to invite you to, just like Josh Kingley and several of the other guys Kingery did. We want to invite you to come out and join us on one of those, man.
Yeah.
If you want to go deeper, men come to the men's, women sign up for the women's, of course. Come out, and it doesn't have to be about us. Go to one that we're not going to be at. It doesn't matter. They're all equally incredible. Go have that experience with the Lord.
Yep.
Also, get your Jocko fuel on. JJJ 10. Origin Maine, get you an American-made gi. JJJ 10. Get you some jeans, some boots, some hunting gear.
Oh, those black jeans.
Did you order some yet?
Yes.
They're on the way.
I knew it. You're a sucker.
I saw
best
that email
way.
come through and I'm like, order.
Order.
Everyone's like, oh, it must be nice. You get everything for free. I'm like, I actually support Origin.
Yeah.
Like I have this pisses off Amanda Roberts because I have some ghost accounts set up. And so I'll order stuff, pay for it, and get it and send a picture. And she goes, I'm going to find your account. Maybe. I'll just
Allegedly.
make another one.
I have all day to do this.
Thank you again, Kyle, at Yoakum's Signature Hot Rods in Sunbury, North Carolina. We
Yeah, for
appreciate
sure.
you, brother. Thank you so much for the support. This has been Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu Podcast, episode 009.
Go train.